The massive council chamber aboard Nexus Prime hummed with the usual cacophony of intergalactic diplomacy. Translator devices chirped, clicked, and wheezed as they struggled to convert the bewildering array of alien languages into something resembling coherent conversation. Ambassador Krell Ix of the Zephyrian Collective stood at the central podium, his four arms gesticulating wildly as holographic images flickered above his crystalline head. Esteemed colleagues. Krell X's voice resonated through the chamber's acoustics, his mandibles clicking with barely contained amusement. Today we examine the How Do the Humans Say wildlife catalogue of the planet they call Earth. A ripple of anticipatory chuckles swept through the assembled delegates. Chancellor Blix, the amphibious leader of the Aquatic Federation, leaned forward in his moisture-filled chair, his gill slits fluttering with excitement. Commander Vorthak of the Hegemony War Council cracked his knuckles, all 16 of them, and settled back to enjoy what promised to be the most entertaining presentation of the cycle. The first hologram materialized, a small, furry creature with pointed ears and a long tail, sitting primly with its paws tucked beneath its body. Behold. Krell announced dramatically, the mighty domestic cat of Earth. The chamber erupted in laughter. High-pitched squeaks from the Rodentian delegates mixed with the deep, rumbling guffaws of the silicon-based Crystalline Empire representatives. Even the usually stoic mechanical consortium emitted what could generously be called mechanical chortles. "Oh, terrifying," wheezed Senator Glorbnik of the Tentacle Alliance, his 16-eye stalks waggling with mirth. "Look at those fearsome whiskers, and those deadly toe beans." The next image appeared, a golden-furred quadruped with a lolling tongue and bright, friendly eyes. "The Earth Dog," Krell continued, struggling to maintain his composure. "Observe its threatening behavior of tail wagging and face licking." Commander Vorthak slammed his armored fist on his desk, causing several smaller delegates to jump. "By the 7 moons of Kraxon. These humans expect us to believe these living plushies are their planet's dominant fauna. What's next, killer butterflies?" As if summoned by his words, the hologram shifted to display exactly that, a delicate creature with gossamer wings painted in brilliant orange and black patterns. "Actually," Krell read from his datapad, "this is called a monarch butterfly, and according to their files, it's considered quite remarkable for its migration patterns." The laughter intensified. Chancellor Blix's gill slits were fluttering so rapidly he had to activate his emergency breathing apparatus. Migration patterns. Oh, how delightfully non-threatening. Through all of this cosmic comedy, one figure remained notably quiet. Maya Torres, the human representative to the Galactic Council, sat in the designated Earth Observer section, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She wore a simple dark blue diplomatic uniform that seemed almost quaint compared to the elaborate environmental suits, biomechanical enhancements, and exotic appendages of her alien colleagues. But it was her expression that would have given pause to anyone paying attention. While the rest of the chamber dissolved into increasingly hysterical laughter, Maya Torres sat perfectly still, watching the proceedings with the kind of smile that never quite reached her eyes. It was the sort of smile that suggested she knew something the rest of them didn't. The kind of smile that meant trouble. "These Earth creatures," announced Trade Commissioner Blix North of the Commercial Guild, wiping tears from his 6 eyes, "they're like decorative accessories. How charming that the humans have such soft companions." Maya's smile widened just a fraction. Krell continued his presentation, cycling through images of hamsters, rabbits, and goldfish, each one generating fresh waves of alien amusement. The general consensus was clear. Earth's wildlife was about as threatening as a cosmic sneeze. Nobody noticed when Maya Torres quietly activated her personal communication device and sent a single message back to Earth, Phase 1 complete. They took the bait. Prepare Phase 2. The laughter continued to echo through the chamber, but Maya Torres just sat there, smiling that dangerous smile, and waited. The laughter had barely died down when Commander Vorthak rose from his seat, his massive frame casting a shadow across half the chamber. His armor clinked and whirred as servo motors adjusted to his movements. and the various scars crisscrossing his reptilian face seemed to gleam under the artificial lighting. "Honored delegates," he began, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 17 star systems before breakfast. "I believe we can all agree that Earth's wildlife presents absolutely no concern for galactic security." A chorus of agreement rippled through the chamber. The hive mind collective buzzed in unison, their shared consciousness finding the notion of Earth-based threats utterly ridiculous. Even the war-hardened Spike clan, whose idea of a pet was a carnivorous crystal that could dissolve steel, were nodding their armored heads in amusement. "Living plushies." Vorthak continued, gesturing toward the still hovering hologram of a particularly fluffy rabbit. "That's what these creatures are. Soft, cuddly, utterly harmless living plushies. My youngest spawn has battle scarabs more intimidating than these cotton balls with eyes." Chancellor Blix leaned forward, his webbed fingers drumming against his desk. "The question before us, Commander, is whether Earth deserves full integration into galactic society. Given their unique fauna, perhaps they'd be better suited as a tourist destination? A petting zoo for the galaxy's children?" The suggestion sent fresh waves of laughter through the chamber. Ambassador Krell Ix's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme amusement among his species. "Oh yes, come visit Earth, where the wildlife won't eat you. It practically markets itself." Senator Glorbnik's eye stalks swayed hypnotically as he considered the possibilities. "We could set up observation decks, viewing platforms. Imagine the revenue from beings wanting to see these decorative creatures in their natural habitat." Throughout this discussion, Maya Torres remained silent, her hands still folded, that enigmatic smile never wavering. But when Trade Commissioner Blixnorth turned his attention to her, she finally spoke. "You seem quite amused by our animals," Maya said, her voice carrying just enough politeness to avoid being called rude, but not enough to hide the underlying current of something. "Oh, absolutely." Blixnorth wheezed, his 6 eyes watering from residual laughter. "They're just so wonderfully non-threatening. Tell me, Ambassador Torres, how do you humans even have crime with such gentle creatures around? Do your cats arrest wrongdoers with their adorable paws?" Maya's smile twitched slightly. "Our cats are quite effective at pest control, actually." "Pest control?" Commander Vorthak boomed. "What pests could possibly threaten such a peaceful world? Aggressive dandelions?" The chamber erupted in fresh laughter, but Maya's response was delivered with the kind of calm precision that should have been a warning sign. "Well, we do have some larger pests that require more robust solutions. But I suppose you're right about our pets being rather selective in what we've chosen to domesticate." Something in her tone made Chancellor Blix's gill slits slow their fluttering. "Selective? What do you mean by selective?" Maya tilted her head slightly, as if considering how to explain something very simple to someone very slow. "Oh, just that humans have always been quite practical about which animals make good companions. We tend to choose the ones that are manageable for household life." "Manageable?" Krellix's translator hiccuped slightly, as if uncertain about the word's meaning. "Safe for children," Maya clarified, her smile becoming almost fond. "Easy to feed. Unlikely to cause incidents at family gatherings." The chamber had grown noticeably quieter. Something about Maya's casual tone was beginning to penetrate even the thickest alien skulls. "Incidents?" Commander Vorthak's voice had lost some of its booming confidence. "Oh, you know," Maya waved a hand dismissively, "the usual domestic concerns. Making sure the pet doesn't accidentally, well, let's just say we're very careful about our selection process." Senator Glorbnik's eye stalks had stopped swaying and were now focused intently on the human representative. "Are you suggesting that there are other animals on your planet that aren't suitable as pets?" Maya's smile widened, revealing perfectly white teeth that suddenly seemed a bit too sharp for comfort. "Senator, what gave you the impression that we showed you all of Earth's wildlife?" The chamber fell completely silent. "We showed you our pets," Maya continued pleasantly. "The animals we've specifically chosen to live with us. The ones we've trained." Her pause was perfectly timed. "The harmless ones. The silence stretched across the chamber like a taut wire, broken only by the nervous clicking of Krell-X's mandibles and the soft hum of life support systems. Maya's last words hung in the air, creating an atmosphere thick enough to cut with a plasma blade. Commander Vorthak was the first to recover, his military training kicking in to override the sudden, inexplicable unease that had settled in his gut. He straightened his massive frame and let out a bark of laughter that sounded forced even to his own ears. "Harmless ones," he repeated, slapping his armored thigh. "Oh, that's rich. The human thinks she can intimidate us with what? Slightly less cuddly creatures?" Chancellor Blix's gill slits fluttered nervously, but he nodded along. "Surely you're not suggesting that Earth, a backwater planet that only discovered faster than light travel 50 years ago, harbors anything that could concern a galactic community that's been spacefaring for millennia?" Maya's expression remained perfectly serene. "I'm not suggesting anything, Chancellor. I'm simply clarifying that our initial presentation was limited in scope." Trade Commissioner Blix North leaned forward, his 6 eyes narrowing with what he clearly thought was cunning. "You know what? I think our human friend here is bluffing, trying to seem more impressive than her little mudball planet actually is." "Agreed." Senator Glorbnik's eye stalks waggled with renewed confidence. "I propose we settle this once and for all. A wildlife exhibition. Each species brings their most fearsome native creature, and we'll see how Earth's unshown animals compare to real predators." The chamber buzzed with sudden interest. This was exactly the kind of spectacle that broke up the monotony of standard diplomatic procedures. Krell-X's mandibles clicked rapidly with excitement. "Excellent idea. I'll bring a Zephyrian Void Stalker, 12 feet of pure hunting instinct with molecular disruption claws." "A hegemony war beast for me," Vorthak growled, his scars seeming to pulse with anticipation. "Bred for gladiatorial combat, capable of tearing through starship hulls with its bare talons." "My species will contribute a crystalline predator," announced the Silicon Empire delegate, their voice resonating like grinding stone. "A creature that can phase through solid matter and feeds on electrical energy." The suggestions came fast and furious. Tentacle Alliance battle squids, hive mind warrior drones, mechanical consortium hunter-killers. Each delegate seemed eager to demonstrate their species' most terrifying native fauna. Through it all, Maya sat quietly, that same enigmatic smile playing across her lips. When the chamber finally quieted, waiting for her response, she stood with fluid grace. "That sounds absolutely fascinating," she said, her voice carrying a note of genuine enthusiasm that somehow made every alien in the room feel deeply uncomfortable. "I accept your challenge." "Excellent," Vorthak boomed, though his voice cracked slightly. "When can you arrange for your creatures to be transported here?" Maya's smile widened. "Oh, that won't be necessary, Commander. I took the liberty of having our exhibition materials prepared before I left Earth. They're already aboard my diplomatic vessel." The chamber fell silent again. "Already prepared?" Chancellor Blix whispered. "Already here," Maya confirmed cheerfully. "I do so hope you'll find Earth's wildlife educational." The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. "Shall we say tomorrow at 1400 hours? Station time?" Nobody seemed capable of objecting. The exhibition hall aboard Nexus Prime had been hastily converted into something resembling a gladiatorial arena, but complete with reinforced viewing platforms and emergency containment fields. The alien delegates clustered behind their protective barriers, chattering excitedly as they waited for what they assumed would be the most entertaining diplomatic event in decades. Commander Vorthak had positioned himself at the center of the viewing section, his massive frame practically vibrating with anticipation. "This should be delightful," he rumbled to Chancellor Blix, watching the humans try to save face with their adorable little creatures. The first containment field shimmered to life, and Maya Torres stepped forward with a small remote control device. Her diplomatic uniform had been replaced with practical field gear, and there was something different about her posture, more alert, more predatory. "Ladies, gentlemen, and various other configurations," Maya began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. I present to you the first of Earth's wildlife demonstrations. The containment field flickered, and a sleek, orange tabby cat materialized within the enclosure. It sat primly, green eyes scanning the assembled aliens with what appeared to be mild curiosity. Senator Glorbnik's eye stalks waggled with renewed amusement. Oh, terrifying! Look how it just sits there, menacingly. The laughter was cut short when Maya activated another section of the arena. A small, mechanical mouse began scurrying across the floor, its movements erratic and lifelike. The cat's entire demeanor transformed in an instant. Gone was the placid house pet. In its place crouched a focused predator, every muscle coiled, pupils dilated to black circles. It moved with liquid silence, belly low to the ground, each step calculated and precise. When it struck, the movement was so fast that several aliens jumped backward despite the protective barriers. The mechanical mouse disappeared beneath razor-sharp claws with surgical precision. Impressive reflexes, Maya commented casually, as if discussing the weather. House cats have a strike speed of approximately 15 miles per hour and can leap 6 times their body length. Their hunting success rate is around 32%, which, considering they're well-fed pets, is quite remarkable. The chamber had grown noticeably quieter. Of course, Maya continued, this is just a domesticated version. We've bred them specifically for companionship, selecting for reduced aggression and increased docility over thousands of years. She pressed another button, and a medium-sized dog appeared in the adjacent enclosure, a German shepherd with alert ears and intelligent eyes. Maya walked to the barrier and pointed at Commander Vorthak. "Sack," she said quietly. The dog's response was immediate and terrifying. It launched itself at the barrier with such force that the reinforced energy field sparked and wavered. 80 pounds of muscle, teeth, and focused aggression threw itself repeatedly against the containment, its barks echoing through the chamber like artillery fire. Half the alien delegates scrambled backward. Trade Commissioner Blixnorth actually fell off his platform. "Loyalty?" Maya said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Humans have been breeding dogs for over 15,000 years. This one would die protecting me without hesitation. It can track a scent across miles, detect explosives, and has a bite force of over 200 pounds per square inch." She made a subtle hand gesture, and the dog immediately sat, panting happily as if nothing had happened. Again, Maya's smile was becoming distinctly unsettling. This is the domesticated version, bred for obedience and companionship. Krelix's mandibles had stopped clicking entirely. Domesticated version? Oh yes, Maya nodded pleasantly. We've spent millennia carefully selecting which traits to enhance and which to suppress, making them suitable for living in our homes, around our children. The implications of her words were beginning to sink in, and the atmosphere in the chamber was shifting from amusement to something approaching concern. Chancellor Blix's gill slits were fluttering rapidly. "When you say suppress certain traits, well, we couldn't have them being too aggressive, could we?" Maya's tone was conversational, almost chatty. Too territorial, too wild. We needed them manageable. She gestured to both animals, now sitting calmly in their enclosures. These represent thousands of years of selective breeding to make them safe for human habitation. Friendly, predictable, harmless. The word harmless seemed to echo in the suddenly silent chamber. "But you see," Maya continued, her smile widening to show those perfectly white teeth, "the interesting thing about selective breeding is that it implies, well, it implies that there was something to select from, something less manageable." Commander Vorthak's voice was notably quieter when he spoke. "What exactly are you suggesting, Ambassador?" Maya's smile became positively radiant. "I'm suggesting, Commander, that if these are the versions we've spent millennia making suitable for children's bedrooms," she paused, letting the words hang in the air like a blade. "Perhaps you'd like to see what they were like before we got involved?" The chamber was so quiet you could hear a pin drop, or a predator breathe. The silence in the chamber was so complete that the ambient hum of Nexus Prime's life support systems seemed deafening. Maya Torres stood at the center of the exhibition floor, her hand hovering over the holographic display controls, watching the assembled alien delegates with the patience of someone who had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. "You know," she said conversationally, "humans have this wonderful saying, 'Don't judge a book by its cover.' I suppose the galactic equivalent would be, 'Don't judge a planet by its pets.'" Commander Vorthak's scarred face had lost some of its confident smugness. "Ambassador Torres, what exactly are you implying?" Maya's smile was razor-sharp now. "I'm not implying anything, Commander. I'm stating it outright. Everything you've seen so far? The cats, the dogs, the rabbits, the goldfish." She gestured dismissively at the containment fields. "Those weren't examples of Earth's wildlife. Those were examples of Earth's pets." The word pet seemed to hang in the air like a toxic cloud. "We showed you the animals we've specifically chosen to live with us. The ones we've domesticated. The ones we've trained not to kill us." Her pause was perfectly timed. "The ones we've made safe." She activated the main holographic display, and a massive three-dimensional image materialized above the arena. A creature of impossible beauty and terror filled the space, orange and black stripes rippling over powerful muscles, the amber eyes that seemed to look directly into the soul of every being in the chamber. "This," Maya announced pleasantly, "is a tiger. The largest wild cat on Earth. It can leap horizontally for 30 feet, run at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour, and has a bite force of over 1,000 pounds per square inch. A single swipe from its paw can decapitate a buffalo." Senator Glorbnick's eye stalks had gone completely rigid. That's not possible. You said cats were." "I said domestic cats were harmless," Maya corrected. "I never said anything about their wild cousins." "This particular specimen weighs approximately 600 pounds and is perfectly capable of killing a human being with a single bite to the throat." The hologram shifted, revealing a massive brown creature rearing up on its hind legs, claws extended like curved daggers. "The grizzly bear," Maya continued, her voice maintaining that same cheerful tour guide quality. 8 feet tall when standing, weighs up to 800 pounds, and can run faster than a racehorse. "Those claws you see? Each one is longer than your fingers, and they're attached to paws that can crush a bowling ball." Trade Commissioner Blixnorth had gone completely pale, an impressive feat for a being whose natural coloration was already translucent. How do you people survive on such a world?" "Oh, we manage," Maya said with a shrug. "Of course, the land predators are just the beginning." The hologram dissolved and reformed, showing a sleek gray torpedo cutting through dark water. When it turned toward the viewing platform, row upon row of serrated teeth became visible in its gaping maw. "The great white shark," Maya announced, as if introducing an old friend. 20 feet of perfectly evolved killing machine. It can detect a single drop of blood in 25 gallons of water from 3 miles away. Its bite force exceeds 4,000 pounds per square inch. Chancellor Blix's gill slits were now fluttering so rapidly they were creating a high-pitched whine. "For 4,000? Some specimens reach over 7,000, Maya corrected helpfully. "And that's just one species. We have hammerheads, tiger sharks, bull sharks, and the saltwater crocodile, which can grow up to 23 feet long and has the strongest bite force of any living creature on Earth." The hologram shifted again, revealing a primordial nightmare of scales, teeth, and dead eyes. Several delegates made choking sounds. "But wait," Maya continued, her enthusiasm building. "There's more." Images flashed in rapid succession. A massive python coiled around what appeared to be a deer, a polar bear the size of a small vehicle, a pack of wolves moving with military precision through a snowy landscape, anacondas that can swallow a human whole, polar bears that can smell prey from 20 miles away, wolf packs with complex social hierarchies and coordinated hunting strategies. Krell X's mandibles were clicking so rapidly they sounded like a machine gun. But how does anything survive on your world?" Maya's smile became almost fond. "Evolution, Ambassador. Beautiful, brutal, unforgiving evolution. For millions of years, every species on Earth has been locked in an endless arms race of survival. Only the strongest, fastest, smartest, and most adaptable have survived. The hologram returned to show all the creatures at once, a three-dimensional menagerie of Earth's apex predators. And at the top of this food chain, Maya continued, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper, sits the species that looked at all of these magnificent killing machines and said, "You know what? I think I'll make that one into a pet." The chamber erupted in pandemonium. Delegates were shouting, chittering, buzzing, and making whatever noises their species produced when experiencing existential terror. Emergency lights began flashing as several beings triggered panic buttons. Through it all, Maya Torres stood calmly at the center of the chaos, watching the alien delegates with the serene satisfaction of someone who had just played the perfect hand of poker. "Of course," she said, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade, "these aren't even the scary ones." The pandemonium stopped abruptly. "The scary ones," Maya continued pleasantly, "are extinct." The chamber had descended into a state of barely controlled chaos. Emergency containment protocols were activating throughout the station as various alien delegates triggered their species' equivalent of panic responses. The Hive Mind Collective was buzzing so frantically that their translator units were sparking, while the Crystalline Empire representatives had begun resonating at frequencies that made the metal walls vibrate ominously. Maya Torres stood at the center of it all, completely unperturbed, like the eye of a hurricane made of pure terror. "Oh, but we're just getting started," she announced cheerfully, her voice somehow carrying over the din. "I haven't even shown you the creative ones yet." The holographic display shifted, revealing a serpent coiled elegantly around a branch, its scales shimmering with an almost hypnotic beauty. But it was the way its eyes seemed to track the movement of the viewing platform that sent fresh waves of horror through the assembled delegates. "The black mamba," Maya continued, her tone suggesting she was discussing a particularly interesting flower arrangement. "Africa's most venomous snake. It can move at speeds of up to 12 miles per hour, and its bite delivers enough neurotoxin to kill 10 adult humans. Death usually occurs within 20 minutes, preceded by paralysis, respiratory failure, and cardiac arrest." Senator Glorbnick's eye stalks were now trembling so violently they were creating a blur effect. 20 minutes? "If you're lucky," Maya nodded helpfully. "The inland taipan is even more efficient. One bite contains enough venom to kill 100 adult humans. We call it the fierce snake, though honestly, that seems a bit redundant on a planet where everything is trying to kill you." The hologram dissolved and reformed, showing something that made half the delegates immediately activate their emergency evacuation protocols. A spider the size of a dinner plate crouched on what appeared to be a human hand, its 8 legs moving with deliberate, mechanical precision. "The Goliath bird-eating spider," Maya announced, as if introducing a beloved pet. Despite the name, it rarely eats birds. It prefers small mammals, amphibians, and the occasional snake. Its fangs can punch through human fingernails, and while its venom isn't usually fatal to humans, the bite itself is comparable to being stabbed with a railroad spike. Trade Commissioner Blix North had begun making a sound that his species produced only when facing imminent death. How do you people function knowing these things exist?" "Oh, we don't just function," Maya replied with genuine enthusiasm. "We thrive. You see, that's the beauty of Earth's ecosystem. It's not just about individual predators. It's about the entire interconnected web of survival strategies." The hologram shifted again, revealing something that looked like a cross between a wasp and a living nightmare. Its movements were precise, calculated, utterly without mercy. "The tarantula hawk wasp," Maya continued, her voice taking on the tone of a nature documentary narrator. "It hunts spiders larger than itself, paralyzes them with a sting that's been described as the most painful experience in the natural world, then lays its eggs inside the still-living spider. The larvae eat their host from the inside out, carefully avoiding vital organs to keep the meal fresh." Commander Vorthak, who had conquered 17 star systems and faced down void krakens without flinching, was now openly shaking. That's not survival. That's torture. That's Tuesday, Maya corrected pleasantly. Every single day on Earth, billions of creatures are engaged in the most sophisticated, brutal, and creative forms of warfare you can imagine. Chemical weapons, biological parasites, psychological manipulation, coordinated pack tactics. Earth doesn't just have predators. It has an entire university of death, and every species is both student and professor. The holographic display began cycling through images faster now, venomous jellyfish that could kill a human in 3 minutes, microscopic parasites that could control their host's behavior, plants that could dissolve flesh, insects that could strip a carcass to bone in hours. For 4 billion years. Maya continued, her voice rising with something approaching religious fervor. Every single organism on Earth has been locked in an endless competition to become the most efficient killer. Natural selection doesn't just favor the strong, it favors the innovative, the adaptable, the absolutely, utterly ruthless. She paused, letting the images wash over the terrified delegates. And then, she said softly, along came humans. The hologram froze on a single image, a massive skull with teeth the size of bananas, jaws that could crush a small vehicle. Tyrannosaurus Rex, Maya announced casually. 40 feet long, 7 tons, bite force of over 12,000 pounds per square inch. Could run at 25 miles per hour despite weighing more than an elephant. The chamber had gone completely silent, except for the sound of various aliens hyperventilating. Of course, Maya added with a dismissive wave, that's one of the extinct ones. Along with the megalodon, a shark the size of a school bus, and the Sarcosuchus, a crocodile that was longer than a city bus and could bite through steel. She turned to face the viewing platform, her smile radiant. The beautiful thing about Earth's history is that these creatures didn't go extinct because of some cosmic catastrophe. They went extinct because something even more dangerous came along. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop another 10 degrees. Care to guess what that was? The silence that followed Maya's question was the kind of absolute quiet that occurs just before a star collapses into a black hole. Every alien delegate in the chamber seemed to be holding their breath, waiting for an answer they already knew but desperately didn't want to hear. Maya Torres stood in the center of the exhibition floor, her arms crossed, watching the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations with the patience of a teacher waiting for her slowest student to solve a simple equation. "No guesses?" she asked, her voice carrying just a hint of mock disappointment. "Really? After everything I've shown you?" Commander Vorthak's voice came out as barely a whisper, his usual booming confidence reduced to a terrified rasp. You're saying that humans are the apex predators of Earth," Maya finished pleasantly. "The species that looked at a planet full of creatures specifically designed by evolution to kill, and said, 'I think I'll be in charge now.'" She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed a simple image, a human figure standing calmly beside representations of all the creatures she'd shown them. "Every single predator I've shown you, we've either hunted them to extinction, domesticated them, or made them afraid of us. Tigers avoid human settlements. Great white sharks have learned to recognize human boats and steer clear. Bears, wolves, crocodiles, they all give humans a wide berth. Chancellor Blix's gill slits had stopped fluttering entirely. But you're so small." "Size isn't everything," Maya replied with a shrug. "We're persistence hunters. We don't need to be the fastest or the strongest. We just need to be smarter, more adaptable, and more absolutely relentless than everything else." The hologram shifted one final time, showing human figures throughout history, hunting mammoth with spears, sailing across vast oceans, building cities where deadly predators once roamed. We turned wolves into dogs. We made cats into pets. We took the most dangerous planet in the known galaxy and made it our home. And then her smile became positively predatory. We looked up at the stars and decided we wanted those too. The chamber erupted in absolute pandemonium. Delegates were shouting over each other, emergency protocols were activating, and several species representatives were already transmitting urgent messages to their home governments. Emergency session. Chancellor Blix's voice cracked as he activated the Council's emergency powers. I'm calling an immediate emergency session. All previous assessments of Earth are hereby suspended. Motion to grant Earth full sovereign status. Senator Glorbnik's eye stalks were waving frantically. No restrictions. No limitations. Whatever they want. Seconded. Came shouts from across the chamber. Trade agreements. Defense pacts. Whatever Earth requires. Trade Commissioner Blixnorth was practically babbling. Just please tell us these creatures can't survive in space. Maya's smile was radiant as she collected her equipment. Oh, don't worry about that. Humans are remarkably adaptable. I'm sure we'll figure something out. She walked toward the chamber's exit, pausing only to address the chaos behind her. Thank you for such an educational experience, honored delegates. I'll be sure to tell my people how eager you are to welcome Earth into the galactic community. As the doors sealed behind her, Maya Torres allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Phase 3 was going to be even more fun. 6 months later, the Galactic News Network's most popular program, Worlds You Should Probably Avoid, featured Earth as its headline story. The holographic news anchor, a dignified Zephyrian with perfectly manicured mandibles, delivered the report with the kind of solemn respect usually reserved for obituaries. Following unprecedented emergency sessions at the Galactic Council, the planet designated Earth has been granted what experts are calling untouchable status, the anchor announced, his voice carefully neutral. All previous integration protocols have been suspended indefinitely. The report cut to footage of Commander Vorthak, his scarred face noticeably paler than before, addressing a military briefing. Under no circumstances are hegemony forces to approach the Sol system without explicit invitation. These humans have weaponized their own ecosystem. I repeat, they have weaponized their own ecosystem. Trade routes were quietly rerouted. Tourist destinations suddenly found themselves booked solid as beings chose literally anywhere else to vacation. The phrase Death World became galactic shorthand for that place where the apex predators learned to use tools. Aboard her shuttle approaching Earth's atmosphere, Maya Torres watched the blue marble of her home planet grow larger in the viewport. She thought about the tigers in their preserves, the sharks in their oceans, the wolves in their forests, all of them blissfully unaware that their planet's most dangerous predator had just negotiated humanity's future among the stars. She smiled. It was good to be home.